soon as we get word from GovTV, we'll start.
Okay, we're ready to go.
Ready to go?
Yes, sir.
I call this meeting to order. This is the Finance and Government Operations Committee of the City Council. Councilor Grout will be serving as alternate for Councilor Pena, who is excused this evening. All other committee members are present today via Zoom. This is a remote or online meeting where all participants will be on a video audio conference. Members of the public have the opportunity to address the committee if they signed up for public comment per rules published on the agenda and on our website Friday. Council staff has confirmed that no individuals have signed up to speak this evening. We will now move to agenda item A-O-79. Councilor Feeblecorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is 079, repealing Chapter 7, Article 3, ROA 1994, the Albuquerque Free Expression and Parade Ordinance, creating the Albuquerque Free Expression and Special Event Permitting Ordinance. I'll move it to pass.
Thank you. And we also have some amendments. And we need a second, and that is Councilor Bassan.
And then, yes, Mr. Chair, we do have a couple of amendments, a little cleanup. This was by request, and there were a couple of things that were left off. So I will move committee amendment number 1, which is on the screen now. And this is just adding in the boilerplate language that should be in all of our ordinances and somehow got left off of this one. So I'll move that amendment.
Thank you. And that was from Councilor Grout.
Yes, sir.
We're ready for the vote.
Councilor Bassan,
Yes.
Councilor Davis, Councilor Feeblecorn,
Yes.
Councilor Grant,
Yes.
Councilor Sanchez,
Yes,
and that passed.
thank you. Councilor Feeblecorn, amendment 2.
Mr. Chair, thank you. This is amendment number 2 to 079. And this is again cleanup language. We had the incorrect language for referring to major public open space. We had it incorrectly identified as major open space. So this is just inserting the public in those 2 places there on page 3. And I'll move that amendment.
Thank you. Any discussion? Oh, second from Councilor Bassan. And any discussion? Okay, so we'll go to the vote.
Councilor Bassan,
Yes.
Councilor Feeblecorn,
Yes.
Councilor Grout,
Yes.
Councilor Sanchez.
Yes.
Passes on a 4-0 vote.
Councilors, now we're back on the original bill. Councilor Feeblecorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is by request, so I would ask if anybody in the mayor's conference room would like to give an overview or give any input on this.
Mayor's conference room.
Councilor Sanchez, Councilor Feeblecorn, thank you so much. Michelle Sanchez, Director of Arts and Culture. We've been working on this for a couple of years. It got a little bit stalled, honestly, during the pandemic when people were not paying attention to special events. But this is a really important update to this ordinance and an important clarification as well. It clarifies both when the public can assemble and how they can assemble without any need for special event permitting, and also when the public is required to go through the special event permit process. It also actually names special event permitting in the ordinance, which we also feel like was very important because it's never really called out anywhere. So it's a lot easier for the public to find. There are a few refinements that address some concerns that a lot of event organizers have had across the city. One of those is specifically making sure that you have to be part of an event to actually be participating inside the event as a vendor. So that is an important thing. I'm happy to give some examples of where that's been a problem for event organizers across the city. But those are major things. I think the language is a lot clearer. And I think it really clarifies for the public also that they have the right to public assembly on public lands. Thank you.
Thank you. And we had a second by Counselor. Oh, Counselor Grout, did you want to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director, could you give me some of those examples that you were mentioning? I think this is a great update, but if you could give me some examples, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, Counselor Sanchez, Counselor Grout. I feel like Tasty Tuesdays is the most easy one to understand. So at Tasty Tuesdays, which happens at a couple of our city parks, these are events that are organized by the community, and they invite food trucks from around the city to come, and they work and they try to rotate and really have a lot of different things going on. And so they save spaces for those invited planned food trucks. And then there are regular, regular conflicts with other food trucks and vendors that show up and actually take up space that has been permitted already for the event, which has caused some very unfortunate conflicts between the organizers and other members of the community. And so this really makes it clear that if you've gone through the special event permitting process, you know, you can actually use the space the way you have been permitted and approved by the city to use it, and that other vendors cannot come in and use that space at the same time.
Very good. Thank you for that clarification. That's
Thank
it.
you, Ms. Sanchez. Thank you, Counselor Grout. Any other discussion? There being none, we'll go to the vote.
So this is a vote on a do pass as amended. Counselor Bassan,
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
Thank you. Counselor Pieblecorn,
Yes.
Counselor Grout,
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes,
and that passes on a 5-0 vote.
we'll now move on to agenda item B, O-80. Counselor Grout for Pena by request. You're on mute. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Let's see, this is O-80, amending Article 2, City Funds, Part 1, Urban Enhancement Trust Fund Ordinance. I move a do pass.
And we have a second by Counselor Pieblecorn. And counselors, any questions? For staff or administration? Nothing? Counselor Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think there are some folks watching from the trust fund board, and I just want to say how much I appreciate their work on this. There's been a lot of work here. This is an important update. It's always been sort of a source of funding that's benefited our community and sort of ad hoc and informally led through like an equity and an inclusion lens. But I think this writing it down, making it official, and ensuring that we're doing the right thing here is going to allow us to pass this on to whoever's next on the board and whoever's next at the council. So I really want to applaud the members of the committee for working on this. This was sort of their effort, and I think it makes us better. So just, and I appreciate the opportunity to mention that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Counselor Davis. Anything from Mayor's Conference Room? Seeing none, counselors, if there's no more questions or comments, we're ready for the vote.
Counselor Bassan,
Yes.
Counselor Davis,
Yes.
Counselor Pieblecorn,
Yes.
Counselor Grout,
Yes.
and Counselor Sanchez.
Yes,
And that passes on a 5-0 vote.
we will now move on to agenda item C, R-54. Sanchez, R-54, directing solid waste department to develop a process for the retrieval, return, and disposal of abandoned shopping carts, making appropriation to fund a contract to administer the abandoned shopping cart program. I move a deferral to next FGO meeting. We have a bill at the very end of this that's going to deal with this, and then we can come back to this on the next meeting. So deferral to next FGO meeting is June 12th, 2023. Counselors, any questions?
I'll second that.
Second by Counselor Grout. Okay, counselors, if there's no questions, need a vote for the deferral.
Counselor Bassan,
Yes.
Counselor Davis,
Yes.
Counselor Pivocorn,
Yes,
Counselor Grout,
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
and that passes on a 5-0 vote.
Okay, we will now move on to agenda item D, R-126. Counselor Davis for Benton, Counselor Benton by request.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is approving and authorizing the acceptance of grant funds for New Mexico Highway and Transportation Department, funding and appropriating it to the Parks Department. I move it to pass.
Second.
Okay, second by Counselor Pivocorn.
Mr. Chair, I don't have anything particular to present unless the administration has something. This was a matter by request, but I support it on behalf of the sponsor.
Mayor's conference room.
Okay, with the bill as it is. Thank you.
You wrote it. I guess it should be.
And counselors, if there's no other further comments or questions? No, seeing none, ready for the vote?
Counselor Bassan,
Yes.
Counselor Davis,
Yes.
Counselor Pivocorn,
yes,
Counselor Grout,
Yes.
and Counselor Sanchez.
Yes.
Passes on a 5-0.
To agenda item E, R-127, Counselor Pivocorn.
thank you, Mr. Chair. This is our 127 to support pollinator conservation efforts and to recommit the Bee City USA standards. I move it to pass.
Second.
And second. Counselor Grout. Thank you. And counselors, any questions for staff or administration?
Mr. Chair, I would just say that I've been working with the staff at Parks and Rec for several months on this. And so I believe I saw Director Simon in the mayor's conference room if he wants to say a few words.
Director Simon?
Mr. Chairman, Councilor Pivocorn, thank you very much. I also have Dennis Vasquez, our Deputy Director, who has taken the lead on this project with you, Councilor. As you know, just want to thank you for your interest and support for the subject and appreciate working through all this to get a nice resolution that will continue our city's commitment to enhancing pollinator protection in our city. And we, to be part of to be a bee city, if you will, BEE city, we do need to sort of just renew our commitments annually. So this is what we're doing with this measure. And thank you very much for carrying it.
Thanks. I got something to say about this too. I think it's a really cool thing. And I'd like to go check it out. If you guys know anybody or where the bees are being kept, or I'm just really interested in that. So I'd like to go take a look at it and get a little more information and just kind of see what you guys are doing.
Mr. Chair, we are putting in a pollinator garden at the park nearest my house. I would love to invite you over when that gets put in to go for a tour if you'd like.
I'd love to do that. I think it's really interesting.
And Mr. Chair, if I could just say, I could not see on the small screen, I did not know Mr. Vasquez is here, but he has been the leading force behind this and pulling all the departments together to really come up with something that works to make sure that we're working across the city to make sure that we're doing all we can to ensure that pollinators remain in Albuquerque and they grow. So I wanted to thank him and I wanted to see if he had anything he wanted to add because I did not know he was in the room.
Mr. Vasquez?
Mr. Chairman and Council Pivocorn, thank you very much for your comments. Yeah, this is bringing together a number of departments who all have some activity when it comes to our ability to enhance pollinator gardens in the city. So I think this is a good, strong commitment from multiple city departments to help pollinator health and ecosystem resiliency. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Vasquez, and thank you, Councilor Pivocorn. And any other questions or comments? That brings us to the vote.
Counselor Bassan,
Yes.
Counselor Davis,
Yes.
Counselor Pivocorn,
Yes,
Counselor Grout,
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
and that passes on a 5-0 vote.
Gosh, we're already on the last item.
Great,
Okay.
good job.
We will move to agenda item F, R-129, and that's Sanchez R-29 requiring solid waste management department to submit a report on the shopping cart collection pilot project. And looking for a second.
Yeah.
Second. Okay. Counselor Davis. And basically what we're doing here on this bill is we're actually asking the administration to give us some information in reference to the pilot project that they have ongoing. And in reference to certain issues, and you can see the bullet points. We're looking for a number of shopping carts, the number of collected carts returned to owners, number of collected carts recycled or repurposed, number of carts that are deposited into landfills, various ways in which abandoned carts can be reported, method of storage for collecting carts, primary ways in which abandoned carts are reported, the cost of the pilot project, and then data regarding where the carts are found and which retailers they come from. And then we'll also be working on some next steps for it. So with that, I ask a due pass, and I know we have Director Whelan in the office or in the mayor's conference room. And I think some of this you've already been working on. Is that correct, Director?
Council Chair, Councilor Sanchez, yes, we are collecting this data as we go. We're right at about 4 months into the pilot. And so we're probably gonna be wrapping it up in the next 5 or 6 weeks. And we'll be able to get all this information to you in one report if that's how you'd like.
Thank you. And I just want, Councilor Feeblecorn, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a quick question. What's happening to the carts that are being impounded by the city right now? And I asked this Director Whelan because I got an email earlier today with what I thought was a really great idea, that if there are carts that are being impounded that are not being reclaimed, there was some interest from some local artists for using them for art. And so I just wanted to throw that out there as you're wrapping up this, pilot program, that might be something that is of interest to some folks.
Council Chair and Council Feeblecorn, thank you for that. But I'd definitely like to sit down and talk to you about some of the things, about some of the ones that may not be put back into use. But we also have some parts that we are working with Parks and Rec. They get abandoned bikes or Esperanza Bike Shop, and whatever they don't use or they can't use, we're starting to collect those as well to see how we could either repurpose or recycle the metal. But I mean, if there's some artists that would like to do something with a bike, we're all for that as well.
Sounds like a very good point. One of the
Thank
things,
you, Mr. Chair.
one of the things I'd like to say is, I'd like to ask the other counselors and even the other folks in the room if they've noticed a decrease in the amount of shopping carts that we're seeing in our community. Can anybody chime in? I noticed in my area, I have noticed a decrease of shopping carts, abandoned shopping carts. Anybody else like to hop in on that real quick?
Mr. Chair, I'll just say, I think the ones that I see are all in use in my area. And so I have not seen a decrease in those, which is good because that's what folks are using to hold all of their belongings. But I'm glad to hear that there is a reduction in some parts of town.
Thank you. Councilor Grout, how's your area?
Mr. Chair, thank you for asking. I think it's better. We have, it's been a lot cleaner. I haven't seen abandoned ones like we normally do, especially behind we have a lot of apartments behind the shopping center, and that's where they get collected, they get collected down there. So I have seen an improvement, so I appreciate that very much.
Thank you. Councilor Davis, what about your area? How do you feel?
We still have a few you want to come collect, Mr. Chair, but I kind of agree with Council Feeblecorn. They're hot commodities and hard to depart from. But I think all in all, I support this program. I think we got to figure out something to do with them. I love Council Feeblecorn's connection with the art for the ones that are uncollected. So.
And Councilor Bassan, how's your area doing?
Mr. Chair, I guess I'm going to have to say that no news is good news. And I guess probably I haven't noticed what I may not have noticed, if that makes any sense. Because, you know, when they're everywhere, you're like, these are everywhere. And they're
Right.
just around. And so now that you're making me be a little bit more aware, I probably could say that it has improved, and I'll pay attention a little bit closer now that I drive around, and I'll report back again.
Thank you very much. And again, we would do pass. Counselors, if there's no other questions or comments, then we'll go to the vote.
Counselor Bassan,
Yes.
Counselor Davis.
Yes.
Thank you. Counselor Pivocorn,
Yes.
Counselor Grout,
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
and that passes on a 5-0 vote.
Well, there be no further business. I hope everyone's happy that we ended this meeting pretty quickly. This FGO committee meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.